The Expert plugin is a useful plugin that you can use to achieve certain results within your scene design. To get started here, we're going to start with a 2D object. So we'll use a circle and we'll drag this into the scene tree. I'll drop a material on it as well, and then go into our built-ins, our container plugins, the global folder, and we'll drag an Expert onto our circle container. We'll click on the Expert icon to go into the Expert properties editor. And the first thing that we have up here is the draw mode, which is set to normal by default. And we also have the option to turn it to wireframe. When we use this in the Expert setting, it will actually render out the wireframe of this 2D geometry, which is different than using the wireframe setting within this scene editor. Using it here, it will not render it out in the final scene. So if you do need a wireframe, you use it. So if you do need a wireframe to render out, you use the Expert plugin. The Expert also has an option for outline, and when you turn the outline on, it basically outlines the shape, and then it enables the width here below it so we can adjust the width of that outline. So we'll change it back to normal. Now whenever you need to see the backside or the inside of a geometry, you can use this back face or two-sided lighting. So for instance, as I rotate our circle around right now, we do not see the backside of it because it is a 2D geometry, which is normal for 2D geometries. So if we go into the Expert, turn on backface and turn on two-sided lighting, then go back and rotate this around, we now see the back face of this circle. Now below we also have this separate specular. So if I were to drag an image or a map, texture map onto our container here, and I turn our separate specular on, as we rotate this further, we'll get some specular highlights. With it off, as we rotate it around, it will lose those specular highlights. Now it may be tough to see in this recording, but as you move a shape around with that setting on, you'll pick up some highlights. So the Expert doesn't just need to be used on a 2D shape, we can use it on an image here, and if we drop an image into our scene tree, it will scale this up a little bit. Go drag an Expert function onto this image, and within the Expert, we also have the option to mirror. By default, it's set to none. We can change that to X. We can change it to Y. We can also change it to Z. And then we also have a render mode within the Expert plugin. So by default, it's set to blend. We can change this to add, subtract, multiply, max, reverse, subtract, and reverse multiply. So whichever setting you need to achieve the look, you can use. As you can see when we flip through these things here, how it's affecting this image and the circle as we click through each one of these settings. There's also a setting down here for transparency mode, which is an optimization setting. By default, it's set to blend. If you want to set it to the lowest setting, to mask, and then the highest setting of high quality. Below that, there is a draw layer, which is set to any by default, but this will allow you to draw that container only if it's on one of these layers, the back, the main, or the front. Now, if we wanted to use this on a three-dimensional object, we could do that as well. So we'll slide a cube within our scene tree here, and we'll drag a material on that as well, so we'll be able to see this. As we scale this cube up, we want to go into the cube and turn off the front face of it. So within the cube, we can turn this show front off, and now with this Expert on, we can see the inside of it. If we were to get rid of that Expert, we would no longer see the inside of that cube. But when we drag the Expert down onto it and we turn on backface and two-sided lighting, we now see inside of that cube.